the meat.
All right, let's get into the meat. It's why you came. It's the sizzle. It's our feature. It's why we're here today, and we are excited. We've been talking about this one for months. Next up in the MCU rewatch, it's taking place right after Avengers Infinity War and Ant-Man and the Wasp, taking place right before Avengers Endgame. It's the 21st MCU title coming out of Marvel Studios, written and directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, with Nicole Perlman, Meg LeFauve, and Geneva Robertson-Dworetit. We're going to tell the story, going to rate the movie, and decide once and for all how we feel about it. It's March 4th, 2019 at the time, and Brie Larson makes her debut as maybe the most powerful Avenger to date. Let's give it up for Captain Marvel. This thing had a budget of $152 million. It made, are you ready, PC Mike?
I have
1.12 billion with a B. Oh my God.
Wow.
Jesus Christ. I feel like an Endgame maybe made like 1.5, 1.6. Like, I don't know.
No, Endgame made like 2 something.
It did go over 2. We'll have to.
In my opinion, I think, didn't this come out right before Endgame?
Yeah,
I think
this was the
inflated
movie.
Because of people being excited about it.
Oh, there was no doubt. Like, we were going to be there. But
I'm just making sure that I wasn't like the only one that thought that.
this was why you talk about the hold it over feeling, right? This was the definitely like, okay, I'm going to go see Captain Marvel, but then Endgame's coming. We got a big story to wrap up. Before we keep going in this story, I have a correction from last week.
Oh.
Yes, I found it during the editing. We did talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp last week. I said it was the 19th film in the MCU. It is the 20th. I just, in the order we were reviewing, I just went to the next one, but we actually had to skip Infinity War.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
film number 20, we want to make sure we correct ourselves when we can, but this one is the 21st movie. Came out in 2019. Let's go around the room. Giggler, when's the last time you saw this thing?
Today.
And how was it for you this time around?
It wasn't bad. It definitely gets better as you watch it. I'd say this is probably the 4th time I've seen it.
4th time. That's probably about right for me. 4th, 5th time.
First of all, I love your shirt. We got to give that a big shout out.
I'll give it up for it. Yeah, my mom got me this shirt. Like I said, when you guys got here, I was like, my mom got me this shirt. She always gets me like silly things. And I was one of those things where I was like, when will I ever need to wear this? I think we should wear it for the Captain Marvel episode. But let's go ahead and break some hearts out there. PC Mike, you want to share something?
Avengers Endgame made $2.8 billion.
Oh, oh my God. All right, don't butter us up with that. Don't butter us up with that.
Sometimes life happens, and I did not watch Captain Marvel.
Oh.
I've never seen it, so this is going to be very informative for me. I picked Army of the Dead.
Yep, you did. You made a choice.
I made a choice, and I'm going to live with it. But I am excited for this review, as all these listeners should be.
Yeah. For me, it's just going to be me explaining it to you.
And maybe subconsciously you ruined it for me, so I'm going to maybe blame a little bit on you.
That's not fair. That's not fair. You know what? Last week you said you were so excited to be visiting these movies.
I said I would plan on it. I never said I would for sure. I intended to.
When I asked you if you promised, you were like, maybe.
Yeah.
You never said that it was going to be a for sure thing. Well, we'll explain it to you, Mike. Don't worry. The Giggler and I got it covered. We've seen this thing enough.
What movie is next that we're going to do?
The next one is
Spider-Man.
So in order for watching, you would watch Endgame after this.
I've seen that.
We already
check.
We did that. And Spider-Man Far From Home.
Is that our next one that we're reviewing next week?
That's what we're reviewing next week.
I promise I will watch that.
Wow. You better.
And then The Incredible Hulk.
And then The Incredible
We
Hulk.
gotta go back. But we don't know how to watch Incredible Hulk.
I own it, so I think you guys should just come over.
Okay.
You guys just come over. We'll do movie night.
Deal.
All right. I'll provide the popcorn. I'll provide the movie. Just like every week, I'll just provide everything and do everything.
Perfect.
I'll just handle it all, Mike. Don't worry about it. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and do this thing. Let's spoil it for Mike, but we don't want to
spoil it.
We don't want to spoil it for you out there. Here's a spoiler alert for Captain Marvel. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. I can already tell you, we go for 2 minutes. This one will probably be just a little bit longer. I realized during this is a movie about making connections throughout the MCU. It's one lesson you need to learn right off the bat, and it's going to tie into my rating at the end, actually. It makes a lot of sense about like how they put this thing together. Let's tell you how they did it right now. Captain Marvel, the year is 1995. In the MCU, we are in space. We meet the Kree, a super advanced race of beings that look like humans, but have blue-green eyes. They're super strong and have an amazing technology, even in the 90s. Meet Veers, a.k.a. Brie Larson. She is one of these soldiers known as the Kree Star Force, and she only remembers the last 6 years of her life or so. Turns out Veers is actually Earthling U.S. pilot Carol Danvers, but it will take her the entire movie to figure this out. After Carol crash lands on Earth in pursuit of Skrulls, who apparently have invaded the planet, she meets a young Nick Fury, a.k.a. Samuel L. Jackson, and a young Agent Phil Coulson, a.k.a. Clark Gregg. That's right, these two are young agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and their encounter with the Kree and the Skrulls is their first interaction with aliens that's ever taken place on Earth. Fury and Coulson help Carol learn about her past, which reveals that she actually received her powers from the Tesseract, a.k.a. the Power Stone, after an explosion that was caused by none other than Kree soldier Jan Rog. This is the character played by Jude Law, who's in the film. He does a great job in this. He's been Carol's mentor in the movie up to this point. Well, it turns out Krees are bad, Skrulls are good. Carol's Earth mentor, Dr. Wendy Lawson, who we meet as the Supreme Leader at the beginning of the movie, you'll remember, is actually an undercover Kree scientist on Earth called Mar-Vell. She used the Tesseract to try and revolt against the Kree, but was killed by Jude Law's character, Jan Rog. And in the end, Carol Danvers remembers who she is with a little help from her Earth friend and pilot, Maria Rambeau, played by Lashana Lynch, and her daughter, 11-year-old Little Trouble, Monica Rambeau, a.k.a. Akira Akbar, who you'll meet actually as an adult in WandaVision. Carol becomes Captain Marvel, defeats her former Kree team, destroys one of 3 Kree warships, and straight up scares away Kree leader Ronan, who you might remember as the main bad guy from the Guardians of the Galaxy, just by staring him down. He takes off. In the end, Carol befriends the Skrull leader Talos, a.k.a. the hilarious Ben Mendelsohn, who you might remember from The Outsider. He was the detective. Then leaves to take on the Kree, and then becomes known around the galaxy as a hero of all planets. Meanwhile, on Earth, a young Nick Fury loses his eye to a cat flurgan, and then types into a word processor, because it's 1995, the Avengers Initiative. That's Captain Marvel.
243.
243. Okay, I knew it would be about 3 minutes. That was nice and tight for you. I got to say, I'm pretty proud of this, especially if you go and read the reviews in Time Magazine. I liked mine better than theirs. Just saying.
Yeah, duh.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's talk about some top parts, but before that, let's do some in-credit scenes. The first one, the Flurgan is the cat. If you remember, it had eaten the Tesseract. It pukes it up onto Nick Fury's desk. We know that it ends up in the hands of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then in-credit scene 2 ties directly to the storyline from the big cliffhanger after Avengers Infinity War. The Avengers are in shock right after the blip. They've lost half of everybody. They're hopeless. They're watching this beeper that they found that was attached to Nick Fury. And here she comes, way too little, way too late. Captain Marvel comes in scene and says, "Where's Fury?" Darkness. And it says Captain Marvel will return in the Avengers. So that's her entrance into our world. Giggler, tell us about any parts that I'm missing here that you want to highlight, top parts of the film. I got a few that can help get us going, but let us know what you were thinking as you revisited Captain Marvel today.
Young Coulson and Fury for the win.
That was my number one. That's literally what I wrote. I just wrote Fury and Coulson.
Best part of C-53 for sure.
Of C-53. That's
what Earth was.
That's the Earth number that she calls it. We're here on C-53.
I like that reference. Yeah.
I like how she called from a payphone her ship.
Exactly. Like the nostalgia of the movie was probably the best part.
So great.
Might be a music show episode.
It already was.
Was it?
Yeah, you just spoiled it coming up. Captain Marvel, like I said, try to feature it. Talk about the best soundtrack probably I've done so far.
Nice.
I mean, it's 1995.
Yeah.
They enter a blockbuster in the first 20 minutes of this movie.
Man, the smell of a blockbuster
is one of the best parts. And then there's a Radio Shack next door.
Yeah.
Radio Shack, I love that. I also loved the fight scene when she does get her memory back, the audio clip that she hears on the computer. I mean, they take us back to her flying that ship.
Mhm.
That was, I actually did really appreciate her as this pilot. She like kills that scene, flying that like futuristic spaceship all around. I said her power ups are pretty cool when she like full on like embraces her powers, but like it's a lot. Like there's so much light.
I feel like her origin story came like so much later than most people, so they kind of had to differentiate her a little bit. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think they did a great job of it. Like you said, this movie was probably two purposes, obviously, to set her origin story and also connect to so many other parts. Where, like young Coulson, that was my favorite part.
Young Coulson's great.
I love it.
So
I mean, I already said that, but
no. So they really are seeing him. It's like his first year on the job, interacting with this like direct. He's like Nick Fury's just like a sergeant or something. I love the Talos character, the Skrull. He's like the main bad guy for a while until you find out everything's been flipped on its head. He's hilarious.
Ben Mendelsohn is awesome. There's so many things. He's just like in every big movie series. He's in Star Wars. He was in Dark Knight.
You're right.
He was Daggett, I think was his name. He gets his neck snapped by Bane.
Yeah.
In Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, he plays and he has such a range too, because some of these characters are like dark and gritty. Like some are like scumbag businessmen. This one, he's hilarious. It's such a different mood from like he's in The Outsider. He's that cop. Like it's like dark of the dark.
Or Bloodline.
He's in Bloodline too.
Thank you.
Brother.
I was just gonna say, if no one's ever seen Bloodline,
awesome.
That's one of my favorite shows of all time. Most people probably haven't, maybe not even heard of that.
Never seen it. I've barely heard of it.
Good call. Thank you, Mike.
Must watch.
Must watch.
I would put that in the top 10.
Okay, Bloodline. You're hearing it here. These two are getting real giddy over here about Bloodline.
Hey, it's a hard stop too.
It's just
there's no like. It's done.
Is there one season?
3
seasons and
boom,
it's
boom,
done.
boom. Yep.
All right.
I was pissed when it was done. That's how good it was.
Well, Ben Mendelsohn, look at this. He's getting some praise here. Really great in here. Let's talk about some notable connections. Yeah, I mean, this is where I'm getting to like the chunk of like how I feel about this movie. That's why I wanted to do the connections before the rating today. This movie leans very heavily on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's like it literally has a young Nick Fury. So for the folks out there that want to watch this stuff chronologically, you can, but this is where it would fall. You would watch Captain America: The First Avenger, and then this movie. So you'd have no idea who like any of these people are. They would just be characters to you, which would be cool. And I'll tell you this, it's a different experience. I'd love to hear someone that watched it like that for the very first time, and like how they say like how they finished it. Because like how would it feel to see this young Nick Fury grow up to be like a older Nick Fury? It's kind of cool. But so you basically, in my mind, I said you basically have to see like the majority of the MCU. Anything with Nick Fury in it. Phil Coulson stuff, of course, Avengers, Iron Man,
I wonder
Iron
if
Man
anybody's
2.
actually watched them like that on accident or something.
I have some friends, our friends Jen and Aaron, they recently did it, but I feel like they were like maybe revisiting it.
Like I'm talking like you said the first time.
Actually, it might have been their first time. I might have somebody to tap for this.
Because, I mean, you'd have to wait till they're all done because you didn't know Captain Marvel was coming out in 2008 when Iron Man did.
Well, here's another thing that would really be weird for you. If you watch the end credit scene of this movie, the Endgame connection, like that would just totally throw you off. You'd be like, what's happening?
I don't think you could watch in credit scenes.
If you do chronological, you just got to like watch the story.
Yeah.
And just know that like I'm watching this in year time. Okay. Either way. Spider-Man Far From Home in credit scenes tied directly to this. You also get some WandaVision connections like we talked about. Like I said, you don't have to watch the entire MCU. You could go without movies like Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, but like anywhere where like the main characters exist, anything with the Tesseract would be very helpful. So if the Tesseract plays a part in the story, you're talking about Captain America, the first Avenger, of the Avengers movie. It's just a lot of the MCU that you should, but then again, this is like the big argument. Could this stand on its own feet? We just had the same discussion about Ant-Man and the Wasp last week. With that, let's go and get a couple ratings from myself and the Giggler. We'll let PC Mike sit this one out since he didn't see this one. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'll be honest. I had a good time with it. Better than I remembered. You called it, Giggler. I had a lot more fun with this time around. Took myself outside of my own head. Watched it truly unbiased and just was like, this is a Marvel flick. Let's see how I feel about this. It looks amazing. The story's a lot of fun. You can tell by me reading it, this is the amount of text there was. The reason it was a 1 full minute longer than where we've been dialing in at about 2 minutes, I think that's because there's a lot that you have to explain. I mean, no one's ever even really talked deeply about the Kree other than a little bit in Guardians of the Galaxy, but they never really focus on the people. And Ronan is like outside of the Kree. He's like a rebel. And then you have Skrulls,
Which we're going to be seeing plenty more of probably.
Exactly. And it's like, who knows where they're going. That's what I'll say about this movie. It introduces to you Skrulls. So now, phase 4 moving forward, if you're talking about Skrulls, you're like, where these come from, this is the flick you got to watch. Giggler, any other thoughts on Captain Marvel before we wrap this thing up and talk about what's coming up next in this order?
My least favorite part was...
Yeah. Did I say it? Oh, I don't think I did. I just kind of ranted about the movie. It's a 3.0.
Okay.
Because I did enjoy rewatching it. So for me, it made the threshold, but it's definitely not above the threshold. It's right at that, like, you know what? I'll watch this when I'm doing my MCU rewatches. And if I do a chronological watch, because at this point, I probably should be changing up my orders. There's a lot of ways to watch this stuff. You could do the Iron Man story only and like take out other stuff. But anyway, Giggler, let's hear how you thought about this movie and hear your rating.
Just jokingly, my least favorite part obviously is Goose, because you know how my feelings about Flurkins.
Yeah, I had to take the cat out of here right when you got here.
But I was reading about it on Reddit, and someone made a connection that this movie is kind of like Memento. Where it's basically two storylines that converge until the very end.
It is exactly right. No, it is. And she doesn't have her memory either.
And that
the
kind
whole
of blows
movie
my mind to think about. So,
and she's remembering a little bit at a time, and they're working those memories in a cool kind of way. Like they have a machine that they're like, I liked how they rewound her brain, like kind of like a VHS. They're like, he's like, wait, back it up.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that, I don't know, for whatever reason, it just is not super rewatchable for me. I think it might just be for kind of what you talked about earlier, with just maybe there's just too many like pre-connections and stuff like that they're trying to do,
and new stuff.
And at the same time. But
plus, it's an origin story.
Yeah.
So you got all that going on. But go ahead.
Still gave it a 2.7.
Wow, it didn't make the threshold for you.
Yeah.
Like you only rewatched it for this.
Yeah. And other times was just
I know you got me. TV. You got me like second guessing my score.
It's okay. It's okay. We all have different tastes. Like usually my scores are higher than everyone's, but
it wasn't this time. And you know what that tells me is I think I enjoyed it a little bit.
I think you did too.
But
I sound a little giddy in your voice.
I do. I'm gonna say she, right? This is for me. It always became about Brie, but now revisiting it, I think she did fine. I think she it's her character. It's a different kind of character, but man, there's just a lot to take in with this movie, and for any new MCU fan, it's gonna be a little overwhelming. But we did enjoy it. Happy to get some ratings on the film and add it to our MCU library. We're so close to wrapping up the rewatch, and just in case you want to know what comes next, look how cool this is. You talk about a Memento type feeling. Okay, so if you're watching in release order, which we do, Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame is next. We've already done our Infinity Saga special, so go check that out. Spider-Man Far From Home next week. Mark your calendars. Mike promised to watch it. Marked and promised. Really good one. Can't wait to visit it. You got Tom Holland, Jake Gyllenhaal, and what do you know? Nick Fury. It'll be perfect. And guess what you would watch after that? WandaVision.
Whoa.
I didn't know if you wanted us to guess. It was on the screen. But
yeah.
I just...
you guys, whoa. Whenever I'm having people guess, it's the listener. Usually, okay. You guys can see it. But man, talk about a full circle. Now WandaVision is in like the order of just like what you would watch next. It's insane.
Does it still make you mad that Endgame is not the end of Phase 3?
Yeah, it's officially Spider-Man Far From Home was Phase 3, but that's only because of like the Marvel Studios scheduling. Like it came out literally like 3 or 4 months after Endgame. So that's why to them they're like, this is Phase 3, but I'm like, yeah, Phase 3 should just be the Infinity Saga though.
Yeah, end game.
The end game.
Yeah.
But either way, it's also like a weird one because, it's the MCU, but it was a Sony flick when we landed. But can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to see it. That's what you would do next. We've already talked about the Phase Force titles, and we're going to talk about more what's coming up. So let's get into it.